Hello, and welcome to the 17th Annual Food Justice Summit. My name is Enrique Orozco, and I am one of the co-organizers of the summit this year. Before we start your session, I want to highlight some of the accessibility options, engagement features, and explain how to access interpretation services. Hola, y bienvenido a la 17ª Cumbre Anual de la Justicia Alimentaria de Chicago. Me llamo Enrique Orozco y soy uno de los coordinadores de la cumbre este año. Antes de empezar, quiero tomar un momento para indicar las opciones de accesibilidad, las herramientas de participación y los servicios de interpretación. Para acceder a los servicios de interpretación, fíjese al lado izquierdo de su pantalla. Al hacer clic al botón que dice Audio Captions, se abrirá una ventana. Haga clic en Select y luego elige el lenguaje de su preferencia, inglés o español. Comenzarás automáticamente a escuchar al intérprete. Para acceder a los servicios de subtítulo, elige el botón que indique CC. Se tiene que elegir una de estas opciones. Para escuchar a los presentadores, elige la opción Floor. Se puede cerrar esta ventana. Finalmente, deberás silenciar el video principal para no escuchar a los presentadores e intérpretes. Estas opciones también se pueden encontrar al lado derecho de su pantalla, bajo la pestaña que dice Interpretación. To access interpretation services, look at the left side of your screen. By clicking on the Audio Captions button, you will open a window. Click on Select and then choose which language you would like to hear, English or Spanish. You will automatically begin to hear the interpreter. To turn on closed captioning, click on the CC button. You will need to select one of these options. To hear the original speakers, select the Floor option. You may close this window. Finally, you will need to mute the main video in order to not hear the original speakers and interpreters. These features can also be found on the right side of your screen under the Interpretation tab. The platform also offers a number of visual accessibility tools. To find them, click on the profile image at the bottom of your screen, and then select Accessibility Adjustments. You can also change the language of the window through this pop-up. Under these accessibility adjustments, you can select different options to make the website easier to read. We welcome you to participate in the conversation through the chat window. Clicking again on the Chat tab on the right side will open up this screen. Select the box at the beginning to begin typing into the chat. At the end of the session, we will open for a brief question and answer portion, and you may type your questions here. Afterwards, I invite you to open the polling tab to answer a very short survey that lets our team know how well we did in planning these sessions. I hope you enjoy the 17th Annual Chicago Food Justice Summit. I will now turn it over to your speakers.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you all for joining us today to learn more about the Austin Eats Initiative. I would also like to thank Chicago Food Policy Action Council for this amazing event and allowing us to be here and hold space. Before we get started, I would love to introduce us and get a little bit more information about our background. So my name is D.R. Williams. I was born and raised in the Austin community since the early 2000s. I worked with Austin Coming Together as their marketing coordinator last year, and now I'm primarily focused on Austin Quality of Life Plan.
Good morning. My name is Cindy Schneider. I live and work in Austin as an architect and urban planner, and I'm the founder of the Austin Garden Collective, a group that unifies and serves Austin's community gardens.
Good morning. My name's Andrea Yousefi. I work at By the Hand Club for Kids, which is an after-school program located in Austin. I've worked in the Austin community for over a decade, and I'm actually moving to Austin in a month, so I'm really excited about that.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies. So, like I said, I am so honored to be here today to talk about the Austin Eats Initiative and how we are helping to grow the number of food resources that we have within our community. But before we get started here, I'd love to share a little bit of background about myself and how I got involved. So, growing up on the west side of Chicago in the early 2000s, my family and I were conditioned to seek food resources outside of our own neighborhood. While my grandmother was an active gardener at a young age, I noticed the importance of fresh veggies and fruits. We had pear trees, we had tomatoes growing, we literally had everything you needed in the backyard. But honestly, I cannot remember the last time I lived or I passed by a full active grocery store in Austin when I was growing up. However, I do remember my grandfather taking my sister and I to the corner store on Central and Chicago Avenue every Wednesday after school to grab some of my favorite zebra cakes and Sour Patch Kids to satisfy our sweet tooth. However, when it came to our family grocery shopping trips weekly, we got into our cars and traveled to Dominic's in Oak Park and Jewel Osco in River Forest. Back then, being a kid, of course, I didn't see the issue with this. I was just going, tagging along with my family and having a good time picking out some of my favorite things. But now that I've been back living in Austin from about 3 years now, from the suburbs, I was living in Lyle, so like a Naperville area, and also Darien. It's kind of a shock to me. The lack of overall resources for my Austin neighborhood should be illegal. So I'm super excited to tell you all about the great things that we have and how we can bring awareness to this issue, and most importantly, what we're doing about it. So on the next slide here, I want to give you a little bit more background of Austin. So Austin is the largest community by area in Chicago, with the second largest population, with nearly 100,000 residents. And because Austin is such a huge area geographically, we have smaller neighborhoods such as North Austin, South Austin, Galewood, and others which is uniquely connected. Austin is a predominantly Black neighborhood. However, according to recent data, we have seen about a 5% increase in the Latino community, creating more opportunities for diversity. Our history is so rich and filled with so many good stories from community members who helped develop Austin piece by piece. Not to mention, we have some of the finest attractions in the city of Chicago. We have the beautiful Columbus Park, which provides peace and relaxation. And whenever I walk over there, I know that I can get by the fountain and just have a good time over there. But not only that, it provides programs for children to get active and creative throughout the year. Or how we utilize Austin Town Hall to hold and create space for the Austin community. My community, like I said, have some of the greatest assets in the city of Chicago. However, historically, Austin has suffered from disinvestments and a lack of support, which has resulted in many social and economic challenges. Because of these social and economic challenges in my neighborhood, Austin residents simply cannot afford healthy foods and resources, especially because of COVID. We have seen a lot of families now having to, sacrifice a meal or to pay their light bill. And because of the lack of grocery stores, many of our streets are filled with small food stores, such as food markets or convenience stores that are shown in the pictures on the slide. And a lot of these convenience stores have aisles that are packed with endless candy selections and processed foods to pick from. With the continued rise of disproportionate access to healthy foods and resources, Austin residents are more likely to experience worse health outcomes, including life expectancy, compared to white Chicagoans. While driving around my neighborhood, I usually see many high school and middle school students stopping by these small corner stores before school to grab snacks to last them until the end of their school days. Obesity plays a major role in our health in our kids in Chicago, with 36% of the city's high school students and 61% of adults in the metro area are overweight or obese. And on slide 5 here, you can see the huge difference between Austin food markets and convenience stores compared to Oak Park River Forest full-service grocery stores. Even though Austin has full-service grocery stores, you can see suburban stores usually creates more of a positive experience. From large selections, more spacious aisles for customers to browse freely, the options are literally endless. In addition to that, suburban stores usually have nice perks, like a coffee shop, which I really want in Austin, or a fresh juicery or smoothie bar, or even a to-go food section for those who are on lunch, which usually motivate people to travel further than wanted to experience the overflow of fruits and veggies, quality meats, seafood, cheese. I mean, the list literally goes on. I get motivated, to try some new meals because there are so many options, when I go to these type of grocery stores. And I just wish I can, have this experience within my community than traveling to other neighborhoods. Here, as you can see, is a map of the standing grocery stores within our community, which are primarily spread out from North Austin to South Austin. But as you can see, we have a spacious middle area in the Austin neighborhood and also by Galewood that there's definitely opportunities to bring more food resources to our community. So we have a decent amount of grocery stores from the North Austin neighborhood, but with the recent closure of Save a Lot on North Avenue in 2020, many West Side residents were left very frustrated and confused on how they were going to make it to the grocery store. Because of the sudden close during the already challenging pandemic, it left so many families and elders without cars, having to travel more than a mile to reach healthy, affordable food by public transportation. And like I said, even if the residents that have working cars, they are willing to travel further to Pete's or Jewel in Oak Park to get a bigger and better variety of produce and products for their household. And to back everything that I just said up with data, Austin residents spend 85% of their disposable income in Oak Park and other neighboring areas. So many have the funds to spend. We're just simply lacking the opportunities. This trend must change if we want to strengthen our community. And with the investing our money back, we will be able to nurture and we will be able to grow more of a thriving Austin community. And to close out my Austin 101 section here's a visual of the entire Austin community compared to full service grocery stores in the Oak Park and River Forest area. And as you can see, it kind of is equivalent of at least half of Austin there. So don't quote me on that, but it looks as if it is half. So me personally, I usually go to Trader Joe's and then I wrap around to go to Whole Foods because it is so easy. It's right down the street to get the foods that I need. And before I close out, I would like to just do a quick little quote here. Food accessibility is a human right. Individuals have the right to be healthy. It should not be based on your zip code. It should not be based on your financial status. Thank you. So here's a snippet of Austin's For Together documentary that was released last year, showing a few of the movers and shakers in Austin. So enjoy.
When I was a kid, my mother, she would give us some money to go to the grocery store. I had 6 grocery stores that I could walk to. By the time I got to high school, there was 1.
Studies have been done of the city of Chicago and other communities where the rate of death is higher in communities without access to healthy food.
There's so many stores like this that are really beneficial to the community. They are closing down the only resources that we actually have, and the community members have no say in it whatsoever.
People are dying at a higher rate and at younger ages in Austin. And so many health issues can be traced to the food we eat and the lifestyles that we live.
This area was been totally transformed to create a park in the middle of Chicago. We got chard. We got Swiss chard. Oh, I love Swiss chard. How do we give our community a facelift? The way South Austin Neighborhood Association began to address that was by creating gardens. This is good. I could eat this.
The Austin Eats initiatives, which was birthed out of the fallout from COVID. COVID illuminated so many disparities in a community, and food access was one. So all of these different groups came together to say, hey, we're going to team up and create a partnership amongst each other to be able to provide access to food.
It's important that we're getting food in that can be provided to people, but what type of food, how does it get produced, and how does it get distributed is important as well.
Come on, guys, let's bow in a word of prayer because we're gonna have to get our traffic control set up.
So today is our weekly food pantry. We probably feed about 400 families every week. This allows us to help those that are in need.
Another box.
Faith-based community organizations, those are our anchors. They've just been phenomenal in being a consistent presence, whether it be through ministry or, again, food access.
We're gonna touch somebody that really needs something today. And you can't tell by how you see them, only God knows.
Hi, I'm Cindy Schneider, and I'm here to give you a little bit of background on the origin of the Austin Eats initiative. Austin Eats is a collaboration of around 20 committed partners. One of Austin's strengths is the number of community leaders and organizations that serve it, and this map just gives you a quick snapshot of the many community groups that are active around Austin. Our Austin Eats partners range from community gardeners to grocery and culinary entrepreneurs to food pantry operators, but we all share one goal of expanding and promoting healthy food access in Austin. To achieve this goal, we have met monthly since the fall of 2020, sometimes in a large group and sometimes as 5 different working groups to implement our strategic plan. So why did we start the Austin Eats partnership? In 2018, Austin's quality of life plan, called Austin Forward Together, was finalized. This plan came out of a 2-year effort that involved over 500 community participants through design charrettes, working groups, and summits. We were able to more clearly define what we wanted to invest in our community to improve life in Austin and perceptions about Austin. The result was a plan that laid out work in 7 issue areas, covering 23 strategies and 84 action items. One of those 84 action items was to promote healthier food choices across Austin. At the end of 2020, spurred on by the pandemic and food insecurity in Austin, the Lumpkin Family Foundation, the Christopher Family Foundation, and the Builders Initiative started an annual $1 million grant fund called Austin Fresh to support healthy, affordable food access in Austin. At that time, we started calling together the different individuals and organizations that were doing work in this area to work together in planning, applying for and using these funds in a coordinated manner that could best benefit the community. The Austin Fresh Grant continues to support this important work through additional support from Food Land Opportunity and the Walter Mander Foundation, in addition to the 3 founding foundations. Diarra gave you a little bit of background of the grocery landscape in Austin, and here are some statistics that help show the extent of this issue. Access to fruits and vegetables is very low, with just over half of Austin residents being able to access them easily and affordably. Another notable statistic is that twice as many Austin residents drink a soda each day than eat the recommended number of fruits and vegetables. So this may be an accident due to the number of corner stores over produce markets, but it's also an issue of choice that we all face each day. Finally, I just wanted to highlight the disparity that we see between Austin and neighboring Oak Park, just across the western border of the city. As Diarra noted, Austinites shop in Oak Park and ultimately spend an estimate of 85% of their disposable income in Oak Park. Meanwhile, the difference in life expectancy between the 2 communities is notable. On the average, a 10-year difference is shown by this map, and the colors really highlight that for us. So circling back to our Austin Eats group, these are the disparities we are all committed to addressing in the work that we're doing, whether it be as a chef, a gardener, a grocery entrepreneur, a pastor, an educator, a designer, or an administrator. But fundamentally, we're all working together and supporting each other in our various roles. Together, we're looking for ways to educate, support local food business initiatives, and ultimately change the food landscape in Austin. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the 5 different working groups that make up Austin Eats. So I serve as facilitator for the Gardens and Farms group. Austin has a long history of community gardens and smaller urban farms, including the PCC Farm and Glenart Farm, which is Chicago's only dairy that I know of personally, but I'm pretty sure that that's true. All in, there are 25 community gardens and farms in Austin, and our community gardeners are just some of the amazing activists that you find in our neighborhood. In 2019, we started the Austin Garden Collective, which was also the result of the Quality of Life Plan, to help support and connect the gardens to each other and to resources. Austin Garden Collective sponsors volunteer Saturdays at each of the community gardens from May through September. And here are some photos from these work days. There are events for all ages where people can get their hands in the dirt and get to know their neighbors. We also host meetups for the community gardeners on a regular basis so that they can share about resources and opportunities and find ways to work together. Finally, I wanted to share with you some of the ways that the Gardens and Farms of Austin are supported through the Austin Eats Initiative and the Austin Fresh Grant. Last year, we were able to provide funding through the Austin Fresh Grant to assist with the construction of the new Mildred Wiley Horticultural Garden at Bethel New Life's campus. This garden was built in the northeast part of Austin, which had no existing community gardens, and serves a range of ages from daycare children, like you see in the picture, to seniors. And there's programming provided by Windy City Harvest. On an ongoing basis, we also invest in other new gardens, revamp dormant gardens, and help support operational gardens across the neighborhood. For 2022 and beyond, Austin Garden Collective is working with NeighborSpace, Chicago's community garden land trust, to generate events and build projects that will better connect the gardens to each other and the larger community. And now I'm going to pass it on to Andrea, who's going to share about a couple of our others.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much, Cindy and Diarra, and just to this group of everybody here. So one of our working groups is grocery access and culinary entrepreneurship. And let me just say, this is a group of extraordinarily creative people. Grocery access is a very complex problem, and the solutions are multifaceted and very complex as well. And this is just some of the most food creative and problem solvers that I've ever met are in this group. So first in our partner group for grocery access and culinary entrepreneurship is 40 Acres Fresh Market, which is a partnership between 40 Acres and Westside Health Authority. 40 Acres is a project that is focused on bringing a community-supported grocery store to Austin. So right on the Chicago Ave corridor, which has other city plans of being a Soul City and commercial corridor in Austin. And 40 Acres is committed to bringing high-quality food and affordable food to the community. And they've done a really great ramp up, starting with pop-up markets, and they've been at every single community meeting. So it really has the full community backing, full community support behind 40 Acres. Our other partner is the City Market at Austin Town Hall. This is a really exciting event that happens during the summer months where we have local vendors, everyone from painters and artists and After School Matters is out there drumming and doing their different, showcasing all the different talents of Austin, while also supporting our local businesses in the neighborhood. You can get bean pies, vegan treats, as well as what you expect at a farmer's market like meat and fresh produce. It's really a happening spot in the summer and an exciting event that just promotes health, nutrition, wellness, and community. After one of our grocery stores closed, as Yara and Cindy mentioned, we all, as the grocery access and culinary entrepreneurship team, said, okay, it's winter, Austin City Market is closed, what do we do? And it took a few months, but again, creative problem solvers here. 40 Acres and a few others really helped spur on the creation of the Soul City Market, which kind of takes that Austin City Market vibe and brings it indoors, where on Saturdays and Sundays, there's entrepreneurs, they're selling meals, there are lots of different vegan treats and snacks that you would not find, healthy food that you would not find at some of these corner stores, and really uplifting our entrepreneurs as well as getting access to that affordable, high quality produce. And then the program that I support and I helped start is, we put that at the end there, I have different notes, sorry about that. So we have the Soul City Market, and then really exciting and has had a big year is the Austin Community Food Co-op, which is a group that wants to address the food security that we've mentioned here by offering a member-owned, Austin-owned, full-service grocery store. Again, there are over 95,000 residents in Austin. 40 Acres is phenomenal, and we're all partners because we know we have the infrastructure to support more than one grocery store. And what's gone on this year with the Austin Food Community Co-op is they've been able to engage the community on what is a food co-op, what are the benefits, and then are building out this steering committee to have a full member-owned food co-op in Austin. And then we have Hatch Made Meals, which is our partnership with the Hatchery, which is a food incubator based in the West Side. And what Hatch Made Meals done, and this has done it, and this is another super creative solution, is during the shutdown when events were canceled, restaurants were closed, what do we do to lift up our local West Side entrepreneurs? And the Hatchery was able to get a grant and come up with this idea for Hatch Made Meals, which are free chef-created meals that were given out on the West Side. They were given out by the Hand Club, on street corners, through other food distribution. And you're going home, and getting a chef-made meal at no cost, while we're also supporting our local West Side entrepreneurs. So it was a sustainable revenue stream for our local food entrepreneurs. It allowed our families in Austin to get fresh, healthy meals to take home. And then it created some great career opportunities for culinary job seekers as well. So then the program that I support is Austin Harvest, which is a program through by the Hand Club. It's a youth-led outdoor pop-up market. Started off as a pop-up where 10 youth saw just after the murder of George Floyd. We brought our youth together in healing circles, and two things came up from listening to our youth who live in Austin. One is they did not like the way that their community and themselves were being represented in the media. They said people just don't understand. They don't understand. If you understood, you would see this totally differently. And the second was just how many friends and family and loved ones that they had lost from COVID. And they said, if we had access to healthy food and nutrition education, would this be the case? So we were challenged at By the Hand and to bring some partners in to do something about it. So our youth are in an entrepreneurship program. They receive an educational stipend to run Austin Harvest. We're actually getting walls, and we're going to be a permanent location where we sell produce. We sit in between emergency food access and traditional grocery because our prices are extremely low. It's a faith-based program. It's a nonprofit program. We don't make any funds off of what is sold, but it's a dignifying shopping experience where you have teenagers carry your bag. So the teens are learning job skills, money management, while also serving the immediate residents in the community. Most people walk to Austin Harvest from our surrounding neighborhoods, and they love getting to work with the teenagers. One of the other things too is that kids are so invested in the program. I have seen 17-year-old boys argue what will sell better, romaine lettuce or the full lettuce heads, and then place a bet on who's going to do the better produce order that week. 90% of our kids in the program have changed their eating habits and their families' eating habits from being a part of Austin Harvest. So grocery access and culinary entrepreneurship we've all complemented each other, supported each other, lifted each other up in the last 2 years being a part of Austin Eats. Our next working group that I'm going to share a little bit about is emergency food access. And before I do that, I just want to, you can go back, Cindy, highlight how the little purple dots here on this map show the working group filling in the holes in the food access on our map here to bring healthy food and fresh food and produce to the community. So with emergency food access, one of our incredible partners at By the Hand Club is George Beatty, and we all call him Pastor Jody. That's what he's known around the neighborhood. And he can't be here today, but I'm going to share just a little bit about him and the work that he's doing in the Austin community. So Pastor Jody was born and raised on the West Side. He knows everyone. When I first met him and introduced him to some colleagues, they're all like, oh, I know Pastor Jody. I've known him for 20 years. So everybody knows Pastor Jody. He had a troubled youth, experienced a lot of what kids today experience, just the hopelessness, the violence, feeling the need to hustle to make ends meet. But since then, Pastor Jody has just been a beacon of light to his family and to the community, and has just served tirelessly in violence reduction, violence interruption, and then and starting and founding Jehovah Jireh Outreach Ministry. When the pandemic hit, I think all of us, and like was mentioned in the video, and the faith-based community and the service community were figuring out how can we help? What can we do? And Pastor Jody reached out to families that he knew and just started saying, what can we do? And that led to starting a mobile food pantry to connect residents to just resources that were made available. There were so many resources available, but again, our community is disconnected sometimes and often from those resources. So as he was going out there with the mobile food pantry, it scaled up. Just the need was so high where Jehovah Jireh Ministries served over 500 families, depending on the resources, a week. With that partnership through the Austin Eats and with Hatch Made Meals, he was able to distribute 250 hot meals through to the community. And I've seen Pastor Jody's van, and Pastor Jody's van has come to Austin Harvest often because we partnered up and said, okay, at Austin Harvest, you know, we're a mission, we're a focus. At the end of the day, we're outside. So if we don't sell our entire case of greens, we don't have anywhere to store it. We were actually storing our potatoes and onions in the gym of By the Hand Club because programming was on hold and we knew that wasn't sustainable. So we worked out a partnership where anything not sold at the end of the day would go to Pastor Jody for emergency food distribution. So it was a no food waste approach, making sure that if Hatchmade Meals couldn't distribute all of their meals, Pastor Jody's just on speed dial, on call to take those meals and distribute them to the families that he worked with. And with that, it made that van become a symbol to the community. And there's something special about eating with someone, sharing a hot meal with someone where they open up and they tell you what's going on in their lives. And Pastor Jody was then able to connect those people to resources and support, and really lift up the community through the emergency food distribution. And then there are some challenges with emergency food access that I think all of us who have done emergency food access in Austin are facing. One is, as the pandemic just lingers on, the need is still there, but the resources are drying up. So there's just been a lot less food distribution and access to food for families in the last few months. The second, and I think this is the nature of an emergency, is at By the Hand, we're not equipped. At Jehovah Jireh, we're not equipped. We're not equipped to store produce. We don't have the refrigeration and the food storage mechanisms where when these big food distributions become available, we can't store them. So we all have to work together to distribute things quickly, efficiently, and that just makes things very difficult. And it's been a challenge. And lastly, there were lots of restrictions on senior buildings, and just lots of seniors were scared, and rightfully so, to come out of their homes because of COVID. So some of the seniors are most in need of food. They're the ones that can't get out or may not be able to drive or are scared to take the bus. And we really want to address these issues coming up in the next few months as an emergency food access team, of how can we do to kind of drum up more donations for emergency food. There's a little bit, I think, of fatigue in general of everyone in this emergency state, but we're still in an emergency, and to kind of rebring that to the forefront, to work together to figure out how we can be ready to take big donations of food and get the refrigeration and food storage figured out, and then work with our seniors and our senior buildings to do a better job of serving them. So that's our emergency food access team, and I'm going to pass it over to talk about our food education working group.
Thanks, Andrea. That was amazing. So we're going to switch gears here and talk a little bit about food education working group here. So a short story, I used to work with the Love Fridge Chicago, which is a mutual aid group in Chicago that provides free food to the community. And I remember stacking the fridges up with fresh produce, like apples, bananas, everything you need. And I seen a guy walking by, and I was like, hey, we got some good food here. Come get it. It's completely free. He was like, what do you have? And I was like, we have fruits, we have veggies. It's amazing. And he was like, I don't want that. Like, I'm not pleased with that. I want something else. And it just kind of sparked the interest. And I believe that we can definitely change our perspective, change our habits. Definitely someone that used to love fried foods, and now I've been plant-based for about 2 years. I believe it is a way. It's more about just having that educational piece, how to Google certain things, how to do recipes and things like that. So we're often taught at a young age the importance of, fruits and veggies while in school. However, many adults are suffering from very, diet-related diseases. And of course, there are many attributes that tie into this. But we believe that having readily available information on how to choose a healthy diet can assist with these issues. So to kick off our food education piece last year, we hosted 2 virtual and in-person film screening events at the K. Ryan Center of Arts, which is right here in Austin, that focused on healthy food and healthy living. The first film was called Soul Food Junkies, which was about a filmmaker, Brian Hurt, set out to learn more about soul food and its relevance of Black cultural identity, despite its health risks. After the film, Chef Michelle Scott, as CEO, founder of Thank God for Healthy and Raw Vegan Treats, did a live vegan cooking demonstration for the audience. Folks were able to take a sample of the vegan potato salad, which was very yummy, while they were leaving the event. And to put the icing on the cake, we had printouts of the vegan recipes for the audience to take home and cook with their own families. The second film, Can You Dig This?, was about exploring the urban gardening revolution in South Central LA and how anyone and everyone can pick up a shovel and start growing their own foods in their backyards. Then after that, we had a mini farmers market and food tasting by Michelle Scott again, and included with the Q&A panel with local experts from Build Chicago, PCC Community Wellness, and Garfield Park Community Council Neighborhood Market. Also, the audience was able to take a seedling home to choose from, tomatoes and other things to help get them started with gardening. In addition to that, after the film screening, we asked viewers from the Austin community to complete a survey, food survey, to help us get a better understanding of their relationship with food within the community. And with all the amazing things that's going on with the Austin Eats initiative, it is essential we have a marketing plan as well. My background is in digital marketing, so this is where I live and breathe. Usually. So the Austin Eats team recognized early on the importance of increasing awareness and getting the word out about this amazing initiative. Because without the community knowing what's going on, we are falling so short of our mission. So just to highlight a few things here, we created a logo on the bottom there that says Austin Eats. So we started the marketing effort off very strong. We knew we needed to brand Austin Eats initiative. We wanted a logo that would be easily recognizable across the city of Chicago and throughout, honestly. We hired a local graphic designer to design us a beautiful logo that mirrors the feel of Austin. Our team decided on the color blue because of Chicago, and maroon is a statement color that is often used within the Austin community. Our tagline, Sowing and Growing a Healthier Community, focus on that we aren't just starting from the beginning here. We are enhancing, advancing what we already have going on within the community and growing that outward. Another thing, monthly flyers, as you can see, the one on the right side there. These flyers were printed and displayed on social media to spread the word about all the amazing events that were happening month over month. We had events like free food giveaways and farmer markets. We're in my 40 acres market. To go along with the posting of monthly flyers, we held a canvassing event last summer, to do some more word of mouth. And I believe the piece that is so important is word of mouth. It's the best way to really get to know your neighbors and how you can best support them. Nothing beats it. After all that, we did some news stories. We were featured on Fox 32, Block Club Chicago, and Austin Weekly News. So moving forward, we had a great year of building our brand recognition and awareness. But we had a lot of conversations about what we should do and what we should focus on when it comes to marketing. And one of the biggest things, like I said, is just word of mouth, knocking on doors, having these thoughtful conversations with residents to really get to know who they are and what they need within the community. So lastly here, so how to support and how to get involved with the Austin Eats initiative. So spread the word, please. If any of this was motivating, inspiring, please just let people know about the Austin community and how to get involved. We have to attend the Soul City Community Market with fresh fruits and veggies and local business entrepreneurs selling their items. Participate in Austin Garden Collective volunteer days. You can go ahead and RSVP on that link right there. And lastly, learn more about the Austin East community and initiative with austincomingtogether.org/Austin Eats. All right, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will be taking some questions now.
Yeah, so I see that there's a question about whether we collaborate with Beyond Hunger, and the answer is yes. So the representative from Beyond Hunger, Michelle, actually, we even thought about having her as a part of this panel. So, but they're working to in the area of food, of emergency food in Austin, and and are part of our monthly meetings.
I can kind of dabble into this. One of the most exciting thing for me personally is getting more residents involved. So more of those canvassing events. I loved it. We were literally on the street, like getting it done, grassroots, talking to our residents, our community. And I would love to just see that expand. So maybe even 2 canvassing events, 3 canvassing events to really start building those relationships with our community.
I would also say that.
Go ahead, Cindy.
Okay, we'll take turns. I would also say that I'm excited about just with the Soul City Market starting up this year. That's just an exciting new thing. So it's it's just very accessible to people. It's open for the whole weekend to 3 o'clock each day. And they haven't quite seen the traction that they want to, but but like my family went last week, and it was just, a really kind of engaging, festive atmosphere, tons of produce. Michelle Scott was cooking vegan treats for everyone, and it's just a really wonderful thing to have in the community.
What I'm most excited for is getting our youth more involved. And we've talked about this as a collective. Some of our Austin Harvest youth have started doing TikToks of this is my meal prepping for the week with their food that they've purchased at Austin Harvest, and seeing if we can get more kids to set the norm that healthy eating is cool and it's great and it makes you feel good, and kind of reversing that junk food, snack food popularity of, oh, you have the hot chips, can I have some? Of, oh, can I share an apple? So really excited about that.
Yeah, so I see your question, Anne, about whether we're reaching out to the schools, and actually Anne and I have talked before, because she was running a community garden at one of the schools at some point. So I think it's something that that we need to do more. Like Austin Harvest is doing a great job in engaging the youth. We work with Build, and they do a great job in engaging the youth as well. But I think that that's something that we can really grow in, is the way that we engage with the public schools and the private schools in Austin. So, for the question, how is success defined and measured? So in our plan that we kind of reformulate each year. We do put, some goals and outcomes, and try and measure them. And so again, that's something that we're trying to become more sophisticated at. So right now it's measuring, how many people show up to the market, how much is purchased, but there's a lot of sophistication that can go into kind of measuring, more detailed outcomes that would follow that, right? So. Andrea, do you have anything to add to that?
I will just say, yeah, I mean, we usually when we meet, have more quantitative measurements. So if it is, like you said, Cindy, how many people are coming to these markets and how many flyers did we pass out? We usually make sure that we have a number that is backing up this data, and then how we can move forward and set new goals. And if we fell short, like what's the problem? Where's the issue? So we usually do a really good job with data, but it, of course, is always room for improvement. But
I know that was our last question, so thank you all so much, and we just really enjoyed being here today.
Yes. Thank you all so much.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Have a great afternoon.